Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 140. World Cup fever is upon us, and England name a second 15 to face Wales on Sunday. And it still looks pretty useful. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hey guys, welcome back. It is a big week, and it's only going to get bigger over the course of the next few. So, joining me as always is Mr. Wood. Hello, sir.
ENGvWAL? Sorry, that's I'm not entirely sure what that means. I think it's a greeting. There's a problem with going out with a 21-year-old. Yeah, I did just use that to mention that. But it's I speak quite street now.
Okay.
Just to pre-warn you.
Let's avoid the street talk on the pod because no one wants to hear that.
It's the only word I knew anyway, so don't worry.
Excellent. Dan, we've got a lot to talk about today. Before we get on to the obvious, which is the team, a couple of comments, reviews. The first one comes in the form of an email. It was sent to us by, who was it sent us to this? It was David Stockwell. We've heard from David before, but this is exactly why we like you guys getting in touch, because I hadn't seen this at this point, and he wanted us to know, had we seen this? It's the fact that Christian Wade, who, as we know, moved from rugby to NFL, has just scored a 65-yard touchdown with his first touch of the ball in his first ever NFL match. So how is that for putting two fingers up to his critics and those that wouldn't select him? And I watched the video; it did look fairly tidy.
So the problem with this is people can get sort of carried away. I didn't realise it was first touch. That's awesome. People can get carried away, and I want to try and avoid that. But I think what that tells us is rugby is better than American football, and every rugby player is twice the sportsman that every American footballer is. Is that about right?
I think that pretty much is what the message was.
Yeah, I think that's what it says. Did you see it? Yeah, it was awesome.
It was very cool.
He's not lost any of his talent, has he?
Yeah, I think the key thing here is that there was a lot of people saying he's moved to particularly actually over in the States, saying he can't make it in rugby, so he's come here thinking he can make it in American football. Well, he has. So yeah, great start, and really pleased for him. And let's, as David said, let's just hope we don't look slow in the midfield throughout the World Cup. Because that potentially was one that got away. But anyway, he's earning a packet doing that, and I'm sure he's quite happy with the move he made. We've also had a repeat review. It's always nice when people get back in touch with us. But the 5 stars remain, and I won't read the whole thing out. It's quite a long one. It's great that we get these, but the general idea here is he wants to talk about the back row, and basically he wants to know if we think Mark Wilson is a shoo-in. Is his ticket already booked?
Oh, interesting. I'm going to start with yes.
Because he's basically saying, Brad Shields obviously is injured. This is a few days old, so there's been an update to a lot of things going on. But Brad Shields being injured, being sent home when it felt that Eddie was pretty much, Brad Shields was a shoo-in because Eddie seems to love him. Obviously, that's not an option anymore. Or so we think. And yeah, with the way Mark Wilson's been playing, the fact that he was player of the tournament for the Quilter Internationals 2018-19, which I didn't know, but I probably should have done if that's the case, and a runner-up in the England Player of the Year. Does that ensure his boarding pass?
Yeah, I because he's got because it's something I want to chat about, like what you've been shouting for ages, the back row set up as it is. But Mark Wilson's got a different game to really anyone else. So I can't see him not being on the plane. Yeah. I can't imagine a scenario where he's not there. So I would say, yes, he's 100% guaranteed a spot. The thing about Mark Wilson as well is, even though in his head, despite what he'd say, he probably knows he's guaranteed a spot, I get the impression he's not the sort of character to ease off anything. So he will still give it his all. I'm sure that's not in doubt by anyone, but he's on the plane. Yeah, he is.
I agree. I think he's been awesome for England since his first cap. So yeah, I think for me that it's never been any doubt. He's always going, and like you say, depending on how England chooses to set up their back row, he offers something different to anybody else. And you need options in a World Cup because it's a lot of games and they're all different. So you've got to have someone like a Mark Wilson there, and it's not even a question for me. He's 100% one of the 31.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, jumping. So the thing with Mark Wilson, Mark Wilson also is hard as nails. Like, that guy is tough. What was the name of that Welsh clown who got bit by the lion? I can't remember his name. If that was Mark Wilson, rather than stroke it, would have headbutted the lion. The guy, just bit it back. Just be like, all right, mate, let's go. The guy is so... I want him on the plane. I want him there. I think he adds a lot.
Well, I think it's been decided, Dan. I think we've made our decisions. And clearly, because of what we're going to talk about in a moment, someone is listening to us. So, he's there. He's going. Do not panic if you're a Mark Wilson fan and you had any concerns. So this was from Andy from Newcastle, a very excited and biased Falcons fan. Come on, England. Keep up the good work and keep the faith. We always do. So, the main thing we're here to talk about today, of course, is this team that's been announced. Now, we had discussed this in the last couple of weeks. We talked about, I'd asked you on a number of occasions, what sort of team is he going to play against Wales at Twickenham? And you were absolutely right. You were adamant. First team, the best team he's got. Really, really sort of set out a bit of a sort of marker.
Mate, this is the first team. I have Piers Francis starting every day of the week, especially ahead of Farrell.
Yeah, and Willie Hines as vice-captain, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And why would you not be vice-captain on your debut?
Exactly. Okay, let's turn to the team. Because I would say it's come as a bit of a surprise, but I don't hate it. Even at Twickenham, even despite everything you were saying in the last few episodes about how we have to set out this marker and stuff. And do you know what I particularly like about this? Is that Wales are playing a tried and tested. They are going for, a kind of a top team.
Yeah.
So massive pressure on Wales because England are going into this half expected to lose. Well, I would say expected to lose. They're not going to go in themselves expecting to lose, but that's the reality, right?
Wales have to be favourites.
Wales number 2 in the world at the moment, I think, on paper.
I saw yesterday the bookies' favourites were England, which makes sense at Twickenham, but now they're seeing the team. I think that'll change, that's not.
It's got to change. I think that's the right call in terms of the bookies. But you look at what happened. I mean, it's completely different. But you look at what happened in the Barbars game, where on paper England just looked like boys v men, and they were awesome. What an upset it would be for this England team, which frankly is a second team.
Are we saying a second? I mean, there's some top players.
I'm not saying there isn't some great players, but I'll explain why it's a second team as we go through it. So let's do that now. Let's just so everyone knows what we're talking about. So up front, you've got Genge, Cowan-Dickie and Cole.
Yeah, I think that is your second team.
What you haven't got is Vunipola, George and Sinclair.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Yep. Or Marler.
In the second row, you've got Launchbury and Ewells. You haven't got Itoje and Laws.
Yeah.
Cruz is on the bench. Marler, as you mentioned, he's on the bench. In the back row, and we'll come back to this, but you've got Curry, Underhill, Vunipola. This is much closer to a first team. I think Wilson obviously is the alternative at 6. But we this is why we want to come back to it. But we've obviously been talking a lot about wanting to see Curry and Underhill together. So really happy to see how that looks. You've then got Hines and Ford at 9-10 instead of Youngs and Farrell.
Yeah.
You've then got Watson at 11 instead of May. You've got Francis at 12 instead of Tuilagi. Slade at 13, probably the right call, but for the sake of argument, we'll say instead of Joseph. You've got McConaughey at 14 instead of Noel, who admittedly might not be available, but nevertheless, we're talking first team, second team here. And Daly at 15, who is currently first choice. So as a starting 15, you pretty much got a second team there.
Yeah, I get it. And actually, thinking about it, I was an idiot to say we'll put out our strongest team because obviously the World Cup squad, I think it's announced on Tuesday, is it?
Tomorrow. No, sorry, Monday, day after.
Is it day after?
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to play. You have to play these guys. I like it. Like you say, you can't any team. I was never going to be annoyed about any team because everyone needs to have the game time. I'm really excited, which you've been shouting for, will be Curry Underhill.
Curry Underhill. We've been calling for this for some time, and this is why I mentioned that clearly someone's listening. Because I think Eddie it never even occurred to him until he heard the England Rugby Pod, and he thought, oh yeah, mate, it's
hello, fellas.
So yeah, that's going to be an awesome one to see. I mean, it might not work. I think it will. But that's two very similar, very hard-working, very effective, potentially dangerous players there with big Bosch Billy at the back. So yeah, I think that's an exciting looking back row. And although he's not on the bench on this occasion, we know we've got Wilson there as a more traditional 6 with the choice of Curry or Underhill at 7. So yeah, that's a good one. Obviously, there are guys on the bench. Is Lewis Ludlam back row? I think he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So he's going to get a shot off the bench to see how he gets on. Willie Hines, I mentioned at the beginning, Willie Hines as vice captain. I find this a little strange, particularly when George Ford is captaining the side, which is fine. He's done it before. He's the fly half. The fly half is going to be the captain when Farrell takes up his main position. So that makes sense to me. Willie Hines as vice captain doesn't at all, particularly given that he stands next to Ford. I don't know. I feel like someone like Launchbury has been overlooked here.
I think this is about. I don't think it's about having Willie Hines as a potential vice captain for the World Cup squad. I think it's about giving him responsibility, sort of saying, if you're going to be my number 2, I need you to step up and take control, because it's a massive position. If it was someone else, so I think it is about that. When I first saw it, I was like, what the hell's the point in that? And then actually, when I thought about it, I think that might actually be a very smart move. Because I think Eddie's saying to him, right, here you are. I've given you your chance. Leadership. Yeah, give me the leadership. So that is also an interesting point, because there's been a lot of chat about England's leadership. Willie Hines may have gone ahead of Ben Spencer based on those leadership credentials.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've mentioned on numerous occasions that once players get together in the training camps, you just don't know what's happening in terms of how the players are gelling together. And Ben Spencer, to the rest of us, might seem like the obvious choice because he's had more opportunities, he's had more caps, he's been on the bench a lot more. And Willie Hines is kind of new and untested in an England shirt, but the reality is they've had quite a lot of time together. And if it's been an obvious, if Willie Hines has looked obviously stronger and worked well, with the rest of the guys around him, then fair enough. He's not going to have been selected if he's not as good as the alternatives. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not too upset that someone that we assumed wouldn't be there, because we made the assumption based on what we've seen of these guys in an England shirt.
Yeah, if you look at the Premiership season, I think Willie Hines was better than Spencer in the season. Willie Hines was awesome. So I like the fact he's there. I know, and there was an article from Matt Dawson saying that he doesn't understand the scrum half selection. And look, let's face it, Matt Dawson may know a little bit more than me about scrum halves, but I quite like it. There's something about that I like. I mean, Ben Youngs is your number 1. There's not about it, but I think Willie Hines, I personally think he has a bit more than Spencer.
There is an argument to say that this sort of taking risks, taking chances, it creates almost a sort of. I mean, if we look at Wales as an alternative, right? They've gone. I think the words used were tried and tested, right?
Yeah,
and that's great. And to be fair, you look at 2003, England were tried and tested. It wasn't like they'd taken chances on unknowns. They built themselves up to a position where they went in as favourites and they delivered. But part of me feels like the way the game is changing, and the way that Eddie Jones coaches, and there's just, looking at that game against the Barbars where you had these kind of young lads who were given an opportunity and they really took it. I almost feel like having one or two of these in there with someone like a Hines, with the media saying, what on earth's going on here? With Matt Dawson saying, I don't understand it, someone explain it to me. Does that send a message to him? Like, right, not only do I want to win the World Cup, but I've also got something to prove. And it's just going to bring that little bit more out of him, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's the selection. Okay, so let's not skip around this anymore. Sorry, I've changed the tact a bit.
Okay.
Piers Francis, talk to me.
I've never really rated Piers Francis, and he's up against Manu Tuilagi. So,
why has this whole Bentio been sent away? Does that mean he's less likely to go?
I don't know. I would say yes. I think being sent away at this stage, rather than just not being selected for the team, that's got to be a message. I don't know why you would send someone away if you were planning to keep them around. And I don't really get that, because I feel like, if having, your sort of your Bosch man in a Tuilagi with a kind of quickie outside him in Slade is what works, then surely you want to have the ability to replace Tuilagi like for like, which you're clearly not getting with Piers Francis. You have got Joe Marchant on the bench here, so maybe. Yeah,
but Marchant's a 13.
Yeah, but
and a fairly consistent 13.
But is 12-13 that rigid? And if you're looking,
I think so. I think defensively, 13 is a very tough position. I think it's a shootout between. If I'm honest, I think it's a shootout between Marchant and Slade.
You reckon? What about Jonathan Joseph?
Well, I think JJ might already be on the plane.
Oh, really?
I think I
just
have
on
nothing
form
to back this up, but
okay.
No,
just based on your kind of history of successly calling things like England are going to put out their first team.
Exactly. So what was the thing? Hear me? I don't know. Hear me now, believe me.
Believe me later. I think we've stolen it from
JB. Yeah, it's interesting. I think JJ might have booked his place, and I think it's a shout out to Marchant and Slade. So my only thinking of Francis is he offers a different option at 12. Is that what Eddie wants? But that's a completely different game.
Is he 10 cover?
No.
So it's probably the one name looking down that team sheet that to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. McConaughey has obviously had a great season. We don't know him as an England player, and he's obviously only just switched to rugby union. But he's had a good season, and obviously with the news that Noel may not be available, and we already know that.
Mate, don't even say that. Don't even say that. That's not an acceptable outcome.
Oh, he is now training again though. Jack Noel.
Yeah,
he's not still injured. He's now in training. He's been given the kind of the all clear to start training again. It's now a question of can he get to the right fitness levels in time. I would have said so. There's still a good, if he's in training, there's still a good few weeks to go. So I'm not really sure. I wonder whether that's a little bit of kind of media mind games, get people focusing on, oh no, what are we going to do without Jack Noel, and then deliver a second team to play Wales at Twickenham in a World Cup warm-up game.
Yeah, because when they're saying World Cup, that would suggest he's no way going to be ready for next week. But it wouldn't surprise me.
When I first read it, I assumed that he'd gone and had his little review, his post-surgical review, and they'd said it's not done what we hoped it had done, and effectively he was still injured. But I believe he's back training again. So who knows? Of course he's going to go, but if by some horrible, not miracle, what's the opposite of a miracle, Dan?
Bad luck.
Bad thing. By some bad thing. If he
Naughty.
If he can't go, then who's next in line? And obviously Ashton's already ruled himself out. You'd have had him, close by. So you then say, okay, well, let's have a look at McConaughey. Let's see how he does in an England shirt. May we know is on the team sheet, or he's on the plane.
Of course he is, yeah.
So we don't need to see him this weekend. And then obviously you've got Cokanasiga. he's on the bench this weekend, so we're going to see him, and we want to see more of him. He's another one who's it's a bit like the Wilson thing. He's so different. No one else in the England setup is like him on the wing. You got to have him there. You got to have that option.
Yeah, it's interesting. McConaughey, I'm really looking forward to watching play. I know nothing about this guy. I've seen him a couple of times, but in highlights. I've not seen a full match of him play. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play, actually. Do we think he's... Yeah, but like I say, do we realistically think he's got a chance?
No, because we know that Jack Nowell's going to be fit and healthy, and he's going to have that spot. And I think you're going to have May, Nowell, Cokanasiga, Watson, Daly as your 5 back 3 guys that you take. I reckon.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I don't think that's a particularly difficult decision.
No, but if Nowell can't go, the question then becomes: do you take McConaughey in place of Nowell, or do you take someone who hasn't been training with the squad but has a bit more experience?
I think Mike Brown comes back into the equation at that point.
You think?
I think so, because
except Mike Brown, you've got Daly and Watson covering fullback, and I know Nowell officially can cover fullback, but do you want to bring in someone who, let's be honest, is an out-and-out fullback, or do you want the raw gas? I think with the World Cup, you need that gas. I'm not sure Brown. I think if Nowell's not available, depending on what happens this weekend, if McConaughey has an absolute shocker, then maybe not. But if he plays like he's been playing this season, by all accounts, then maybe this is a serious opportunity to make himself next in line, and then it comes down to will he, won't he for Jack Nowell, and that's what decides it. And
maybe Christian Wade.
Maybe Christian Wade comes back. Exactly. You wouldn't put it past Eddie. So my next question for you then is: Daly obviously is Eddie's man at 15, but before Daly came along, Watson was Eddie's man at 15 and then he got injured, which obviously opened the door for Daly. Watson's obviously been selected at 11. Is Eddie looking at him as a winger, or is he looking at him as a second fullback? And also, would you rather see Watson at fullback and Daly on the wing?
So if everybody's playing to top form, my back 3 is Daly, Watson and May. Daly at fullback.
Okay.
If everyone's playing to top form.
What, Nowell on the bench?
Oh, holy crap. Yeah, Nowell on the bench. I just think Nowell, I think he's a great finisher. I think the impact he adds is huge. So, that's a good point, though. Do you want Nowell on the pitch to start with? Yeah, I'm going to go Daly, Watson, May with Nowell on the bench if everybody's fully fit and has been playing to their best. And
then in the centres, if fully fit, would you go Tuilagi Joseph or would you go Tuilagi Slade?
I'm going Tuilagi Slade.
Because of what we saw in the last series of outings from England, or because of form at the end of the season?
Because he's beautiful.
So weird.
Because of a bit of everything. I think he's had an absolutely amazing season for Exeter. I think in the Six Nations he was great for England. I think him and Tuilagi work well. I think what he offers, he's not as quite slight of foot as Joseph, but I think what he offers from distribution just puts him ahead of Joseph for me.
Okay, so we're jumping around a bit here, but going back to the back row, obviously we're looking forward to seeing Curry, Underhill 6-7, and we know that they both cover 7 in the, if you're going for a more traditional looking back row. We still have this issue of one of our most injury prone players of the past few years is also a world-class number 8, and seemingly the only serious number 8 contender that we have in the entire setup. Is this a worry? Should we be concerned that not only is he our only number 8, but he's playing in this game, this sort of second team game that they could very easily have rested Billy for this one, given who else they're resting?
I think you need to. I don't think you can worry about injuries. I think you need to pick the team based upon what you think will work. And actually, I think Billy at 8 with Curry and Underhill is a great call. Mm-hmm. The only thing that worries me is not this game, is we effectively, and we've talked about this a bit. If we've got Tonga USA first, which we win, then we're effectively playing knockout rugby. Argentina, France, quarters, semis, finals. So we have to win 5 big matches in a row to win this World Cup, which of course we will. But Billy can't. I don't think Billy can play 5 big matches in a row.
Well, he has to.
Think. Does he have to?
What are you talking about? He can't. Of course he can. It's Billy, mate.
He can.
Of course he can.
But that's the thing. I think we're missing an 8. Because it is 5 big matches in a row where you have to put out top teams.
Yeah, I mean Wilson can play 8. Where it's where he first kind of I think his first cap for England he was an 8. We know he's great at 6 and it's good to have him there. But if you want to go Curry, if Curry Underhill 6-7 works, maybe Wilson is there. Provides cover for Billy at 8. I
think you lack a lot of carrying capability though.
Well, you do. You've got to have to change things up. But I suppose in that situation, you're saying to your Vunipolas, your Georges, your Sinklers, your Togis, your Lawses, you guys in the front 5 do the carrying because the back 3 are going to be doing the workhorse stuff. I don't know. Because worried. We don't have...
Sorry, what the fuck is Delalio up to? Can someone give him a call? Tell him, get his boots out.
I think you need to let 2003 go. Dan.
All right, Dean Richards.
It's 2019. It's the next.
I will never let 2003
It's the next
go.
Time that we're going to win the World Cup.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I'm still never letting 2003 go.
Okay, but yes, we are short a number 8, or at least an out-and-out number 8. But the only options we've ever really seen under Eddie Jones was Nathan Hughes, and I've said for a long time.
Sam Simmons. He's been injured for so long now.
Injury's an issue, and also he's not. I know he plays number 8, but he's a different type of number 8. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, we've obviously looked at what's his name as well, Bath, the youngster.
I've got his name, but I want you to come.
I can't remember it, so you'll have to say
Zach Mercer.
That's it. Correct.
Yeah, I think
correct, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
So there we have seen others, but none of them really feel like. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sam. Maybe it's just maybe Sam Simmons is a late call up. I don't know. It seems unlikely given that he hasn't been involved to this point. He just got injured at the wrong time, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did, and he was out for so long. But I get why he wasn't picked, but it is a shame because he is a great carrying 8. I think without Billy, we do lose quite a bit of that going forward. Fair enough, you've still got players in those forwards who can carry hard, but
I think maybe you just it's game. Maybe this is something they've been working on in training. Maybe it's just that they've got a sort of what if scenario. If Billy goes down, we don't have an out and out 8 to come in as a like for like. What's our position? And maybe that's why they're trying Curry Underhill, because maybe they're thinking Wilson steps in at 8. You have Curry Underhill 6-7, and things get switched around a little bit in terms of what people's responsibilities are, and the front 5 become much more responsible for doing the carrying to let 6, 7, and 8 do their kind of workhorse stuff. That to me looks like it's the one of the more obvious solutions in that scenario. But we just got to armour plate Billy and make sure that the only people getting injured when he gets tackled is the tackler.
Yeah, we need Billy. Like Billy is massive, integral, and Billy to me,
is he beautiful?
He's fine. He's no, God no, have you seen him? He's had his injuries. He's now going to come through, and he's going to be one of, if not the best player at the World Cup.
Interesting. I thought that was going to be Don Brandt.
No, Don Brandt's going to be the find of the World Cup,
but
Billy's going to be best player. Well, it's Eddie Mind Games.
Mind Games. Oh, I see. You'd have thought that. I'm surprised actually that he didn't get a call up here.
Yeah, I am a little bit.
Because actually, I know you've just said we need Billy and you want to see Curry Underhill, Vunipola, but actually you could have had Don Brandt at 8 in this game, given the kind of the setup of the rest of it, and see how that goes and see what that option looks like.
And I think Don Brandt's another, his carrying's good, and that's another carrying sort of capability we lost, which is why I was surprised that he wasn't given at least a game time.
Important to remember, we're announcing the team. Well, we're not announcing it. We've offered, but they said no. Eddie is announcing the team on Monday. However, we don't have to confirm our World Cup selection until I think the 8th of September. So I don't really know why the team, the 31-man squad is being announced on Monday if actually the 31-man squad's being confirmed on the 8th of September. But, changes basically can still happen. So it's maybe it's just about trying to create more of a buzz. But yeah, changes can still be made. So for those that are looking at this going, it's all well and good saying you want to see how these players can play, but you've got to select your team the day after. And what are you going to do about the ones that you're not sure about, or rather the ones that you think you're sure about, and then changes happen? It can still change. It can still they can still try people out in other warm-up games. And I suspect, looking at what Eddie's done this time around, given what you thought was going to happen, Dan, I think it's safe to say that he's still got a few tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah. It's do you know what? I'm quite excited about this match. I'm quite excited to see some of them play. It's going to be. I want to see the condition and how fit they are, because Wales are claiming to be the fittest team in the world, and they're claiming to do that. So that'll be interesting to start. Wales have put out a full team.
Are they claiming to be the fittest team in the world, or just saying that that's what they need to be? Is it come out more recently that they're saying that they think they're fitter than everyone else? I mean, that's a big call when you're
whatever makes them sound worse.
Okay, yeah, they definitely said that they are the fittest team in the world.
In fairness, I don't know exactly. I think they said they are going to turn up for World Cup as the fittest team in the world. I think they made that claim. I could be wrong, but I'm going to own it. Wales said they're the fittest team in the world and they could outrun every other team. So it'll be interesting to see our guys against them. Who else? Cowan Dickey. I want to see how he gets on. And Genge. I'm looking forward to seeing Genge.
Yeah, so, obviously, I didn't go through the bench, but Singleton, Marler, and Harry Williams are the kind of replacement front row. Not kind of, they are the replacement front row. Then you've got Cruz and Ludlam Cruz replacing second row, Ludlam replacing back row. Youngs is obviously there in case this little gamble doesn't pay off with Willie Hines. And then Marchant will presumably come on. You said 13, so I guess he comes on for Slade at some point. Maybe Slade moves to 12, or maybe Eddie continues to love Francis too much. And Cokanasiga will be an interesting one. And I suspect he will come on for McConaughey, unless Watson's having either a bad game or has been brilliant and Eddie's seen enough.
Yeah. I think he might come on for Watson. I think he wants to give McConaughey as much game time as possible, which means 100% it'll come on for McConaughey.
Yeah, of course. Or maybe Daly goes off. Watson moves to fullback because he wants to see him in an England shirt at fullback. Daly's a known entity, so Watson moves to fullback to test him in that position at half time. Cokanasiga comes on for Watson, and Daly's the one that actually takes a step back because you'd have expected to see Daly in the right hand column, the one that the kind of the first team alternative. So.
Do you know what? There's a lot of different variables, but you don't really think about it until you see a team on the team sheet. Yeah,
but I think this puts Wales under huge amounts of pressure, right? Yes, they're coming to HQ, but they're coming in as the second best team in the world on paper. I think they are, aren't they?
They're second best team. Yeah, they're ranked number 2.
Ranked number 2 in the world. In a game that against an England first team would have just been a massive test, and they've put out, their number 1 side, and England have responded by putting out their second string team at HQ, and so now the expectation is Wales win, and if they don't win, 3 weeks out from a World Cup, 4 weeks out from a World Cup against an England second team. That's huge, and potentially the kind of the psychological damage that could do for them. It'll be a really interesting one. I'm sure this is the sort of thing Eddie's going to be chatting to them about in the dressing room.
I think the only thing I'd say about that is I don't know how much impact that has for us. I don't really see a scenario where we beat Wales in this World Cup.
But it's not even necessarily about what happens if England play Wales. It's you're going into a World Cup number 2 in the world, and you've just been beaten by your biggest rival's second team.
Oh, completely. And that, I completely agree with the sentiment, but I'm not sure how much Eddie will care about it. I'm not sure how much he'll sort of focus on the team. I don't think he'll care whether.
I think you're underestimating the rivalry.
No England
team.
I want Wales. I want Wales getting crushed. I want to see Alan Wynne-Jones walk onto the pitch in the first match, shaking like a shitting dog. So I
shaking like a shitting dog. You heard it here first, folks.
Sorry about that. That would be ideal, but it would be interesting. I want to see the type of rugby we're looking to play as well, because I think we're looking to play quick rugby. Is this the best? Yeah, maybe.
Well, it'll be interesting. Guys, someone out there will be sitting listening to this going, what are you talking about? You don't know how we meet Wales. We're currently most likely for the final or something. Let us know. We can find out for ourselves, of course. Stop being lazy. But yeah, if anyone does know,
we'll call that Plan B.
Tell us where we most likely meet Wales. No doubt it will be in one of the early knockout stages, and they'll have the opportunity to ruin our party, and that's how they'll see it. And that way we can back up this theory that causing Wales problems on Sunday is going to be a psychological blow. I mean, we'll see what happens as well in a week's time when we go to Cardiff. If we play a third team in Cardiff and win that one too.
Well, I've said all along in Cardiff we're going to put out our strongest team.
Of course, that's what you said. Yeah.
So that's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, so joking aside, will we?
I think so.
You think he'll switch it up and play?
You've named your World Cup squad.
Plays 18 in Cardiff.
Yeah,
do you think that again? Do you think there's a psychological thing about that? It's like, well, we're away from home against the second best team in the world, so losing is not so much of an issue. Whereas if we played our A team at home and we lost, then it's more of a problem. Like, do you think there's an element of that, even if it's subconscious?
Yeah, but I mean, possibly. It's hard to know. I think there's also building excuses. So Eddie can put like a lesser team at Twickenham and be like, well, it's not our first team. And then he can put a strong team going down to Cardiff and say, Cardiff is so hard to win at. So, and there might be a sort of psychological side from an England point of view, being like, hey, look, don't worry. You did all right. Cardiff is...
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Like, is he kind of creating these scenarios by in the way he's picking his teams to almost... It sounds awful to say it, but to have an excuse if things don't go to plan. And not for the media and for us as the fans, but for the players, so that their heads don't go down in worst case scenario, and he can keep them kind of G'd up, ready for the actual tournament.
So I would suggest that has definitely been part of a conversation at some point, even behind closed doors amongst very few people.
I would imagine definitely very few people. I don't think this is something that they're going to openly say to the players in advance. But I think it'll be very interesting to see how these guys get on. Despite it being a second team, you look down the team sheet and there's still, really strong players in key positions, and I think this team has every opportunity to cause what I think would be an upset by beating Wales' first 15 tried and tested.
It's a good Welsh team, isn't it?
Mm.
It's a very good Welsh team, and
a lot of caps. That's one area that England obviously have.
I think we've got about 6 between the whole team.
Yeah, something like that. Our vice captain is uncapped, so that's always good. Yeah,
that's George Ford as captain. I find. I think he's one of the vice captains anyway, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, George Ford has George Ford is like the go-to second team captain. You look at what he captained England in Argentina during the Lions tour.
Oh yeah, good point.
I think he is. He is a vice captain, and I think he is the go-to. When Farrell's not around, so that's happened on multiple occasions, and it kind of makes sense. Your captain is always kind of calling the shots from the same part of the pitch.
So, do you reckon Eddie calls him OMB?
Probably, yeah.
Or Owen 2.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Eddie, it's George. Shut up, OMB.
Yeah, maybe.
It might happen.
Or is it 40?
40. I don't know why he's Indian. So, mate, this is going to be good. Unfortunately, though, so let listeners know, unfortunately, we can't do a live pod for this game because, unfortunately, I have to work. The orphanage I've set up needs my help, and then I've got astronaut school straight after.
Needs cleaning, and the staff coffees are not going to make themselves.
Exactly, and then obviously astronaut school, followed by followed by Disney World.
The point is, Dan has let everybody down, and we will not be doing a live episode for this. But we're going to work on his schedule, and we're going to try and make sure this sort of thing doesn't happen again. We will do a full analysis. Probably, and we'll try and get it on Monday. So get an early episode out, get it as soon after as possible. So you'll only ever have hopefully less than 24 hours to wait to hear our thoughts. But yeah, we won't be able to get our typical semi-live episode this week as promised. But we will endeavour not to make this a regular thing. And yeah, I guess because it's the nature of this game, the fact that it's a second team, the fact that England are going into it as underdogs, maybe it's not so much of a problem that we're not doing the live one this time round. But
yeah, mate, I need you to do me a favour. Don't text me or anything. Just like before kickoff, let's go for it. We'll end up probably chatting for about 4 hours. But during the game, I'm recording it. As soon as I finish, I'm going home watching it. So do not message me scores, results. Although within about 10 minutes of it kicking off, I know I'll message you going, mate, what's going on?
Yeah, and I think if our listeners want me to ruin your day by telling you what's going on, I think it would be right for me to do what they want. So maybe you guys let me know. Should Dan have the result ruined for him?
So in which case I'll leave my phone at home, unless of course the missus is here. I don't want her seeing what's on it. Kidding. But yeah, mate, it's a good one. I'm gutted I can't watch it. Like it never occurred to me that would be in a situation, and I literally feel like I've lost something.
I mean, a lot of respect from your listeners.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it hard when I get back.
So hard.
So hard.
I think you need to watch it on 2 TVs with a 5-minute delay, so you're almost watching everything twice at the same time.
Do you know what, mate? I'm going to do exactly that. But I have to go into the office. I mean, they're not going to steal from themselves, so I need to do that. But yeah, let's get behind them, boys. Everyone, boys and girls, everyone listening. This is it. This is the start of the road to glory. This is the start of rugby players becoming rugby legends. So
it's nicely put. Absolutely, and guys, as we always say, and we really appreciate those of you that do reach out and let us know what you think. But if you get the opportunity, particularly now, it's all kicking off. We want as many people tuning in as possible. Get over to iTunes, rate us, review us, let us know what you think. Reach out to us, ask us questions, tell us facts, inform us of things we got wrong, and just generally kind of get involved in the conversation, because that's what this is all about. And you can do that on social media at England Rugby Pod, or you can email us, englandrugbypod@gmail.com, and we will obviously endeavour to respond to all of you. But most important, keep spreading the word, keep tuning in, and we will catch you guys on Monday to discuss what hopefully is been a very interesting and hopefully upsetting game for Wales. We'll see you guys then.